I think that in recent years we've been trying to assist with the economic development of Timor-Leste. We managed to work with Batik Air to establish the first direct flight from Kuala Lumpur to Delhi, launched in July this year, and now increased to 3 times weekly. So we've been working with Batik Air on that. We're also working closely with the current Governor of Central Bank, Mr. Elder Lopez, on issue of currency and setting up the national the strategic development initiative under the current parliament plan. I think that if you visit Timor, I think in terms of democracy and freedoms, Timor-Leste has done really well. But I must say that after 20 years, the economic development of the country is still not a best shape. I think if you look at malnutrition, level of education, its reliance on oil and gas, 96% of the budget is still from oil and gas. So these are very significant barriers. How do we address the economic development needs, national development of Timor-Leste? For me, it's equally important in terms of the human rights and other aspects of development. If we fail in terms of the economic development of Timor-Leste, then we fail the people of Timor-Leste. The fight for democracy, the fight for independence was not just about sovereignty and self-determination, but also for economic development. I think this is really important. I think that Timor-Leste offers us a very interesting case that can we actually make sure we have a national development that serves the interests of the people, right? Instead of interests of business elites, and how do we have national development that is meaningful in a country like Timor-Leste? We're also in a situation of great geopolitical changes between US and China and other countries. We're also in a situation of development of, we have the climate crisis ongoing, and the growth of technology such as AI coming in very quickly, which will reshape the economic development of countries and the whole world. How do we use the opportunity to create a sustainable and equitable economy, unlike many of our countries which are very much driven by elite capitalism? And I think that is the interesting question. Is there opportunity for civil society, for people's organizations to be the engine of growth and economic development in countries like Timor-Leste? And I think for me that is the main challenge. In the past 2 years, working with different ministers, it has been a challenge to support the economic development, whether it's on the issue of access to water, clean water, dealing with the municipal waste, introducing the industrial areas, enlarging the airport so that planes can arrive properly and have an extended runway. Many projects that we have worked on, but it's been difficult to deliver on those projects. So I think that it's interesting to see whether there can be more of a cooperative model. For example, in agriculture, can there be more poultry so that we can do import substitution? At the moment, I think a lot of protein that is consumed in the country is still brought in from Indonesia and as far as Brazil. How do we enlarge coffee? How do we enlarge things involved, not just in talking about democracy and human rights, but also about the economic development of the country. And I hope that working together, the people of ASEAN can drive the.
And now I give the chance for Madam Solida.
Thank you very much. Let me share a little bit what is People Empowerment Foundation very short and briefly. People Empowerment Foundation is a registration, human rights organization registered under the Thai Commercial Law. And so we are legal working in Thailand. People Empowerment has 3 main pillars: democracy, human rights, and also peace building. Our strategy is 3 strategies. The first one is what to offer. And then people to people exchange. So we do really support on cross topic and also cross regions. And the third one is about advocacy, because we've got the information from our partner on the ground to bring it up to do the advocacy at national level and also at national level. So that is People Empowerment Partnership. As many of our friends in ASEAN that we support independence of Timor-Leste, we struggle with the independence of Timor-Leste, and very welcome to be member of ASEAN communities that we are waiting for many years to support you to be the member of ASEAN. And when we go to the point of the topics today, rights people at the core, for me, I would like to interpret that it is a good citizenship of the people, of ASEAN people. So maybe you know that in the ASEAN Charter, they also have two terms of people-centered and people-oriented in the Charter of ASEAN. And it's sometimes it's used different meaning. For people, we would like to be the people-centered, but sometimes when the government they implement, they use people-oriented. People-oriented is mean that anyone can do everything for people, but people-centered is mean that people is in the one of the organization or group of the people that will implement for themselves. So sometimes the government also use this term for make confusing people-oriented and people-centered, but we would like the ASEAN to focus on people-centered. This is the norm of the ASEAN, not people-oriented. This is the thing that I would like to make it up and also make people to understand and also fight for this. When the ASEAN government is people-oriented, they should be intervened. Instead, we need people-centered, not people-oriented. To be people-centered, so it means that we should have meaningful participation, like Dr. said this morning. Meaningful participation also benefits of the people itself, and also parts of decision making, like drafting law, and also propose some policy to the government to consider to be parts of that. Include our idea, include our proposal in the implementation and planning of the government itself. And also parts of the implementation, it should be, people should be implementation in every activities for people-centered to make a real people, good people citizenship of country and also ASEAN itself. To be a good citizenship is mean that, like you said, people have not enough knowledge. It's really need for education, for the people to understand about human rights, about their rights, about the democracy and everything. This is very important for people to play a role as a good citizenship and as a people center for ASEAN and also for their own country. And of course, the government cannot do by themselves. It really needs support from CSO. But however, CSO also really needs support from government on the budget. You know, in case of Timor-Leste, you know that you have a very remote area. Many of the regions of itself is also some is in the mountain, is some near the sea, is also across the mountain. Go to many places and very difficult. But CSO, you have many CSO that working with the people on the ground and can bring the knowledge on human rights, on democracy, and educate the people on the ground to understand their role and also to understand their rights. So that is very important. But without support from the government, we cannot do that. So it should work together between CSO and also government to support each other. And also the election of the government is going to be part of the mechanism that's very important in the countries. And every 5 years, right? Every 5 years we will have the election for presidential, prime minister, and also cabinet. So the same with my country, but my country is 4 years old. But I would like to propose that is at national level. I would like to propose at regional level. I would like to propose about the ASEAN parliamentary elections like the EU parliamentarians that they direct elections from for their own parliamentary. If the ASEAN have ASEAN parliamentary elections, so it's meaning that in every country there should be have the election for ASEAN parliamentary, and this is another way to educate the people to understand about the ASEAN structures, what is their role as ASEAN citizenship. So this will be one of the mechanisms to educate the people to understand regional and also national role as a good citizenship of ASEAN. And then you see, if you have ASEAN parliamentarian, you also can have committees, different committees in the ASEAN parliamentary that people also can be part of, bring the voice of the people to the committee in the ASEAN parliamentary. So that is very important for all of us to be a good citizenship of ASEAN and also to support and also working together with CSO and also the government on this point. Another issue, I think that our friend is very good to talk about the economic and also with the sustainable development thinking. So I think that that is also one of the important part of this implementation to be sustainable norm. I think that SDGs norm, 17's goal of SDG is a standard of sustainable development and also to develop democracy, human rights, and also economic. It is very important to use the SDG standard. But however, at the national level, I think that national resources management is very important for every country, that people should be part of the national resource management. In Timor-Leste, I can see that there are very few Timor-Leste people pray this law. I see that there are so many investments from China, from Singapore, to do the investment in Timor-Leste. I'm not so sure that what kind of the organization in Timor-Leste that working on the national resources management will be part of that in the decision making with the government on who will do the investment inside. And we can say that China is very dangerous of the countries that do investment in every country, for example in Thailand and also in Myanmar. So you should be aware of this, and also the people organizations CSO should play some role to balance, checking, monitors about the investment in the country to make sure that national resources of your own countries will benefit to the people, your own people, not benefit to China or Singaporean or the other countries that do investment in your countries. I think that is will be one of the important for sustainable development and also for the economic justice of your own people. That is very important. Another point that I would like to share with you, I think that political view of the document is very important. This morning we also hear Dr. Dato say something about the action plan, the process of the implementation, consultation with the government, with the people and government. So I think that that is very important for political view of the government. If you have a good government and have a good political view, I think that all of the improvement of the country is both political, economic, and also just economic is will be implementation. Political will is very important for every country. I hope that the struggle of Timor-Leste will have a good government and good political view from your own government. And that is the hope of the ASEAN people also, because in my countries there are a lot of benefits of the political party that they are fighting in the cabinet that is for their own party, not for the people. And we hope that Timor-Leste will be one of the sample of the good governance in the regions, because we are struggle and we support you a lot in the past. I think that the past of the political view is also not corruption. That is very important. Not corruption, and also transparency, accountability, and also public trust, like Dato also said this morning. I think that is very important for political view. My last point. How to make the CSO is independent. We need independent CSO to implementation and also working with the government. We don't want the government to control CSO, because CSO should play a role to monitor and balance the accountability for the government. I want to make this point here for Timor-Leste and also for my country and also for ASEAN country, about the independence of CSO and checking balance and monitor our activities of the government.
Thank you. You have expressed and reflected the real conditions for Timor-Leste, especially on the global norm for a sustainable and just economy. That mostly reflections goes to Timor-Leste, how in the future we'll continue to engage with ASEAN members and learn from all of you to continue exist and participate in the ASEAN events. So now we are collecting the questions. If you have questions, please stand up to the mic so that you can ask the questions or reflections, suggestions for the three speakers. I think they are ready to respond. Only one. If we can have more, please stand up in the mic. So please. And also for the online.
Good morning. Thank you so much for our panel for articulating the experiences and some of the recommendations. I'm Vinny Sinches from World Animal Protection. I'm also here part of the wider organization that met earlier this week, as we are preparing as well, because ASEAN chairpersonship is going to be a few weeks next year. So I have a question. So what do you think are the governance and accountability structures that are needed to make ASEAN economic transitions? We also need to define what economic transition is actually from the perspective of ASEAN. To make it more equitable, but I'd like to add a word there, equitable humane. So meaning when we talk about humane, we're also talking about other species that are non-human. Especially that in the ASEAN region, we have been boosting a lot of key biodiversity areas. And I think we're also a hotspot for trafficking, animal extraction, among others. So equitable humane. Especially in the context now on how we can protect the rights and dignity and well-being of workers, communities, and then how do we make sure that areas in ASEAN biodiversity are protected, and then how can we also identify mechanisms to look at percentage in terms of biodiversity recovery. So those things. So industry of food production, especially with geopolitics, I think it's going to become big. It's going to encroach into critical areas. Expansion of fossil fuels, for example, if there's going to be a moratorium on coal, and then shifting towards gas. So how do we put that kind of perspective? Thank you so much.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for the time. I'm Luis Jimenez from Timor-Leste. Yeah. And also thanks for those speakers, already sharing good insights. Yeah. in different contexts of the economic development. My question was referred to the business planners. What is best practice, CSO, in contribution to the economic development? Because Timor-Leste, after become officially as a member of ASEAN, of both CSO members in Timor-Leste also interested to join networking in the CSO ASEAN member. Most of economic issues. So maybe can you more explore what is the good practice so we can see the impact of the sustainability of economy through the second pillars, ASEAN economy. Community. Thank you.
The last one.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the excellent sharing. Naomi and from WWF Malaysia. This is on, how do we, move towards that more people-centric economic development versus what information mentioned, elite capitalist kind of model that is practiced in most parts, definitely across ASEAN. One thing is, in Malaysia, as part of the SDG agenda, the government has adopted beyond GDP measure, which is under development, but at least it's something that has been articulated as needed. And because GDP and this GDP growth, I think just fosters this notion of elite capitalism, growth for the sake of growth, and not necessarily serving the needs of the people on the ground. So there's that disconnect. So my question is, in Malaysia, I think we are trying to, as civil society, feed into this idea, this building of a metric that goes beyond GDP. Might be one metric, might be a weighted metric. It has to be decided. But I'm just wanting to get your opinions on what are the elements that should go into it, and maybe even across ASEAN, would there be an appetite to build a beyond GDP metric for ASEAN?
Thank you. We have 3 questions for the speakers to respond. Mr. Premis, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think that the 2 questions, one was what is the role of CSOs in economic development, and the second question was on going beyond GDP. To answer the first question on CSOs economic development, traditionally CSOs have positioned themselves as monitors of development, ensuring that development follows certain standards, development projects take people's interests into account. But I think the question is, this is the current view, but if we look back into the history of the 1950s, 1960s, when in a kind of post-colonial situation, CSOs were more than that. They were more closer to being cooperatives. So farmers associations, fishermen's associations, right? Associations of workers unions, played a fundamental role in shaping the kind of post-colonial development of countries. So CSOs monitoring can often monitor from a very urban situation, but actually not be able to do much development in the rural area. So if we want to be responsive to the needs of people, especially in rural areas, then taking a corporate form of development, using cooperatives to create capital, to help farmers and help fishermen and help rural industrialization is equally important as to monitoring national development initiatives of the government. So Malaysia is an interesting experience. We had things like FELDA, FELCRA, traditional rural development initiatives to build outside the capital area. And these can be replicated and we can assist Timor-Leste in those developments. So I urge civil society to go beyond monitoring and to actually look at vehicles to help the people develop their own communities, their own towns, etc. On the question of beyond GDP, this is an initiative that I think is also led at the UN level and across many different initiatives. Think about what are proper measurements that are required, not just GDP growth. So this is really an important, and I think there are already quite a few studies being done in that area. And it'll be interesting that in ASEAN, that ASEAN countries and ASEAN people's organizations come up with their own mechanism to measure this. Whether it is, some areas look at kind of a minimum access to the basic needs kind of approach. What percentage of your population looks at having basic access? Another one looks at, say, differential of power in terms of access. So I think we're also moving into a situation of where we could have lesser growth because of the population decline worldwide. So in most countries now, you have a stabling of populations or even a declining population, or declining of the productive population in the country. So without a growing productive population, we will go into a situation of a reduced GDP growth. So these are some key factors. I think that's a longer debate. I think we can go and discuss that in more detail. I'll let my other colleagues as well.
It's me. I'm so sorry for the first question. I didn't get very clear about the first question. I am not expert also on bioprotection and also environment. So I'm so sorry I did not answer with the first question. But I will focus on two questions, number 2 and number 3. The best practice of the economic. I understand that when you get independence, when you get democracy, when you have your own government function, the next question is also about economic of the people. How to improve the economic condition in your countries, that is very important. I think that is the priority of the government to focus on that. Our practice that we do, like this morning, Dr. Punita is also mentioned about business and human rights, national action plan. They have many consultations to come up with national action plan, and also how to make the government implement it, and business group to implementation of other map that we are drawing together. In Thailand, we also have many consultations with business and human rights national action plan. We organize many times. We fight with the government and also with the business group to bring the voice of the people in the community to come up what happened with the reflection from the people on the ground, and what is the investment that they do in the community and affected to the life of the people. For example, pollution, air pollution, water pollution, something like that, to make sure that the implementation of national action plan on economic will be not affected to the communities level. So this is the voice of the people. And then when the implementation is doing, we should be monitor again, and also make sure that the government will be looking and support the benefits of the community and the people. So many things that come up for consultation, action plan, implementation, and then monitoring. The third question is about the GDP. The GDP is also the concept from World Bank, from government, from UN, But for us as a people, we need some things that reality that we can also take it. For example, the gap between the rich and the poor, and also between protection, social protections that is really need to support the vulnerable group. We don't care what about GDP because the GDP will be the average of the rich and the poor that they calculate, right? But reality, the people in the community is very poor. We cannot bring the income to be part of the average of GDP of the countries, you see. But I think that for the most important thing is about how to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor, and also how to have some mechanism of social protection for the vulnerable group and also for the people that really need. So this is my answer.
Thank you. Okay. Let's have a second round of questions. Maybe any questions from the online participants? Please raise your hands if you have any. No? Okay. Thank you, participants online and in the room. Big round of hands for 350. Oh, okay. Okay, if you have any further question, if you can stand up to the mic. One more, yes, please. Yeah, three. We have three participants who'd like to ask questions.
Hi, my name is Tini. I'm from Muslim Indonesia. It's been a long time since I touched East Timor, but I have a lot of fond memories. That was back in 2002 when the independence was gained. One of the concerns I had back then was for the children on the streets, lack of education, malnourished. So moving forward with 2025, post-independence, and all these issues that's been raised. In terms of the future of East Timor, the children and the future generation is clearly an investment that needs to be taken care of. What are current issues pertaining to children, child protection needs, that perhaps, institutions and entities such as Muslim Aid can participate in terms of making it better for them?
Okay, thank you.
I'm AJ from Humanist Malaysia. I would like to find out from the panel what they think is the most important or the most important things that need to be institutionalized, done or implemented to ensure that there's actually no inefficiencies, corruption, as well as leakages when the government of Timor-Leste actually starts to implement infrastructure for the people in a very substantial way. And one side comment, Ramesh, my friend, or rather, the late Kamal Pamadaj was actually a schoolmate of mine, and we always admired him for his steadfastness when it actually comes to doing what he actually believed in. And even though 30 years have passed, we still actually remember him fondly for what he represented and what he actually did in Timor-Leste. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one.
Okay, thank you for the time. My name is Femi, Felis Mina Bello, and my nickname Femi, from Timor-Leste. My organization is from the South Mopas local. Here I want to represent Timorese women. And then I want to ask for Mrs. Chalida, and then another one. Sorry, that name is really difficult for me. And then I want to ask your experience, how to promote the women and children in the economic empowerment, because in Timor-Leste is a very important. Now we want to promote how to help the women and children, because now we including in Asia, but our problem is many in Timor-Leste, because development become, and then many children and women is victim for the development in Timor-Leste. And then how your strategy in your country, and then how your plan, maybe you sharing for us. maybe in future we want together, and then maybe in Timor-Leste to include in the all program in Timor-Leste, because I work in a shelter, because many cases rise in Timor-Leste. I'm sad when including in Asia, because we not yet the sustainable for the economy. That's our problem. And then maybe here, when I hear in your explain presentation is really good, and then you have the power for the how to promote the economic your country. And then the last one, I have a recommendation for the all member as in this organization, like NGOs in Asia. Maybe we work together and then to like in the training and promotion to our, and then the last one, how do you observation or your think about the Timor-Leste, Timor in future, in the security, and then how about the economy Timor-Leste? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We still have one last question. Please, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. My name is Jafar Ahmad Abdul Ghani. I am also from Myanmar. So I am representing here on behalf of our people of Myanmar. So we are so happy. First also, I would like to thank you, Mr. Jared, for organizing this event, the ASEAN Forum. So thank you for all the speaker and monitor. So my question is, we also very happy about the ASEAN, Timor-Leste become a full member of ASEAN. This we are people of ASEAN so happy, but we know that Timor-Leste is a very long time suffering as a minority group. So today, as a one camp state, and the Timor-Leste, but your journey, your suffer, we also react. But at the same time, we people of Myanmar, also ASEAN, we people of the ASEAN, also ethnic of ASEAN, we are also very long time suffering role of military junta. So we hope how engaging in this ASEAN Summit 47, Timor-Leste, as the President Honorable Kam also already, how to engage this ASEAN Summit 47, to engage in the ASEAN people, how to empower the vulnerable group here in the ASEAN, how to engage in the people of refugees here in the ASEAN, including ongoing civil war, conflict and genocide, but they are forced to flee the country, how to their protection, their develop their nation and their rebuild their life, how can refugee can contribute their economy and society. So how ASEAN, the Timor-Leste, to engage this our view and our commitment, our suffer, how to dialogue in this ASEAN Summit. This is I am so happy to hear today. This is we are suffer. I am also one genocide survivor as a Rohingya. I do not say what we feel, but our feel is the our suffer is enough. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We have 4 questions. It's such a very long questions. I hope you can cover them all. We start from Mr. Castillo first, if you want to respond to any.
I can answer the first question about the child situation in Timor-Leste. Yes, from very beginning, we started from from scratch. So there was no legal framework on the ground, and until now the government has been trying to create the conditions where allow children to have access to all their needs. And we have, initially it was the government established a commission that focused on child protection, and it was transformed to become an institute, and which is now dealing with the issues of children, and we have still so many, not many compared to other countries, but there are some children are still on the street, selling things, but we have a different opinion in response to this problem. And sometimes the current president also said that it is no more it is acceptable if children are selling things to support their family, and while other opinion from other organizations like us, we think that we need to create a condition where children can be provided a comfortable and secure space for them to learn, to go to school, rather than supporting their family in the economic aspect. So we have been trying, and I think it is a good time for colleagues from the region. As I said, that in the future, perhaps through this type of forum, we can also share on how to provide a better protection to children. Thank you.
I think that for the children protection is very important issue because they cannot voice themselves, no? So the women should play some role, and also the CSO should bring this issue up to the government. I think see Joachim here, so maybe you can bring this issue to Joachim, because it's very important for the government to set up the institutions about, and also policy for the children protection in Timor-Leste. I think that is very important. From my experience, when I went back to Timor-Leste, I also can see that the people in the community is still very poor. The condition of the economy is not improved. And then there will be many of migrant workers from Timor-Leste that working outside, go up to the country as a migrant worker. But they don't have any skill enough to get a good payment from as a migrant worker outside the country. So this is something that the government maybe will be considered, because the migrant worker that working outside the country, they will send the money back to the country to take care of their family. So this is something that link together. So I hope that some of your friends that sitting here and be part of the government will bring this issue up to the government to consider to build up the mechanism for the children protection. For the women protection, the same. I think that it should be the role of the government also to play some role and consider as women, children, disabilities, as one of the vulnerable group that really need protections from policy of the government. And I also would like to convince the women of Timor-Leste to be part of politics in your own country. You should apply to be part of the parliamentarians, women parliamentarians, also part of the election as part of the government itself. So if you have a women department, and the woman will be the key, the minister of the women department, so it means that women will get full protection from that. So I convinced the women in Timor-Leste to play some role as the cabinet and also in the elections. So that should be your role. It's really come from Timor people. It's really come from Timor people itself to be a big citizenship. The right people at the core of the Timor-Leste. So education to the people on the ground, and also to make people understand about democracy, human rights, their role is very important to play as a CSO roles in your and learning about women rights, human rights, democracy, everything. I think that Forum Asia is also, he is part of a member of Forum Asia, and Forum Asia has a lot of training program, to support and strengthening the CSO to understand and learn more about their right and democracy, and also a lot of training. So that it should be part of the strengthening among the ASEAN people itself, and also with the Timor-Leste. People Empowerment Foundation is also have some program about people to people exchange. So in the future, if we have some kind of this program, we can include Timor-Leste to be part of the people to people exchange. You can exchange with the Myanmar people at the border. You also can exchange with and learning something with Thai organization in Thailand. And also with the ASEAN communities, that is something that we can also support. For the corruption, it's also so very difficult, and this is very difficult issue for all of the government. I can see that there are some corrupt example, like in my countries, there are a lot of corruption, and People Empowerment Foundation do the research on the ground up corruption. We do organize and interview many grassroots organizations that we working, like sex worker group, labor group, and refugee group, Myanmar refugee living in Thailand, and also the migrant worker group, women group, ethnic minority group in Thailand about the corruption. What is the meaning of the corrupt, or from bottom up, from the people itself, because corruption concept is come from the UN, it's come from the countries, level, not come from the people itself. Yeah, finish. And then when we can also can see that what is the perspective of the people about corruption, and then this is the way that we bring it up and also put that in the policy of the government, and also convince the regional and also international to hear the voice of the people about the perspective of the people on corruption. And I hope that every country's issue will reduce the corruption to make sure that your country will be accountability and also will make the benefits to their own people.
Yeah, I know we're running out of time for wrap up. I think it's an interesting model of development for women and children, which focuses at the school, not just as a center of learning, but a center of economic production for the community. So agriculture production, skills training, and other production intertwined in the school, so that the children receive sufficient nutrition as well as skills development that are appropriate for their community. So I'll end with that, and we can discuss further after the session. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And Comas also do a lot of training.
Yes. Thank you for our special speakers that have delivered the presentation, responses, and insights for all of us. And big round of hands for all of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all speakers and also moderator for such an insightful discussion. So now we will go for a lunch break. Before I forget, do check out and support Pusat Komas's shirt sale for 20 ringgit, ASEAN Paper shirt for 20 ringgit, and also the Mon community merchandise available outside. Next, we'll be taking a 45 minutes break. Please make sure to be back